purchasing computers and lighting systems and just every kind of technology that was in the building. It's a fairly large church.
Right.
And my desire was to, spend my time more one-on-one helping people instead of sitting in front of computers and telephone systems and all that sort of thing. So on actually July 1st of 2015, I stepped out of my role at the church and started working day by day for Integrity International.
Okay.
So Integrity International is a small nonprofit that was formed here in Michigan as a nonprofit that would do personal and community development with Christian principles and beliefs as the background.
Okay.
And so we had been drilling a well every year. We had been doing some construction work, building a church every year, doing some light removal in the city of Detroit, and then doing a medical mission somewhere in the world every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like I'm doing all this technology so I can do these few little things. And for me, those were a few little things. I mean, drilling a well is an amazing project for a village. It changes people's life for the better,
for sure.
forever, for the rest of, really for the rest of their lives and going on into the future, if it's done properly.
Yes.
And we're working with groups that are doing it properly. So we began that year with, July 1st of 2015, where it really was nothing, and just started letting people know, look, we're wanting to help more people than we've helped in the past, and if you're interested in these kind of projects, we're happy to receive a donation. And so knowing that I had been part of a church for a long time, and people come and people go, they move around the country, they move to other neighborhoods here locally, that I knew a lot of people, and some of them would probably be interested in helping me. So over the last several years now, we have grown that work to where last year we drilled actually 12 wells in Guatemala.
Wow!
And did just a water capture project also in Guatemala, and then we also helped a camp for handicapped kids in Belize.
Okay.
This camp we'd worked with them a couple years ago getting them a well, and unfortunately the guy who installed their well undersized the pump motor, and so they burned up the motor.
Oh, no.
So we actually bought a new pump in Guatemala and shipped it to them to Belize, by courier basically. So that's just last year. We are also involved in a lot of construction projects, and another aspect of our work is medical equipment and supplies. Last year, we didn't have a lot of success with that on a large scale, but on a small scale, we did things like we found two different gentlemen a prosthetic leg. One gentleman had been crushed on his motorcycle and fell actually over 200 feet off of a bridge, landed on someone's house, and somehow survived that. But he lost his leg in that crash. And he had a leg that was functioning, and it failed. And he had an articulating knee that failed. And so he was looking for a replacement for that. So we were able to actually get him that through our partner, World Medical Relief, which George is the director at.
Sure.
And so, and then subsequent to that, we found another gentleman that also needed a prosthetic leg, and we were able to help him. And actually, we've done that a few more times since then. And that's just last year. And also, I found a young lady through my partner there whose brother was killed in an earthquake, and her mother actually was killed when she threw her body over the daughter's body, and the mother was hit by all the boulders coming down the side of the mountain and rocks. The daughter survived but lost both of her legs, one above the knee and one below the knee.
Okay.
And so we're still working with her. We want to continue to do more, but just as a start, just to show good faith, we took her a brand new wheelchair down there, a wheelchair that we got at World Medical Relief, and with a brand new cushion on it, because the wheelchair she had was 7 or 8 years old, and she's now a teenager and had outgrown that wheelchair.
Sure.
So those are some small things that we've been doing. Taking doctors some needed supplies. It's incredible, in a country that's only our neighbor 2 doors down. That's how I describe Guatemala.
Yeah.
Because, it's just Mexico, Guatemala. They're our neighbor, basically. That's the way I perceive them. And, when I ask a doctor in a clinic, what do you need? They tell me crazy things like I need a stethoscope and I need a blood pressure cuff. I need a scale. I need
Mm-hmm.
a glucometer. I
Yeah.
mean, these are things that are so basic here. I need an otoscope, a device to look in your ear.
Yeah.
I mean, these are things that here in the States, a doctor couldn't say that he did a basic exam if he didn't have those devices.
Right.
And so we take a lot of that type of equipment down. It seems so, I'm done being shocked by it. Early on, I was very shocked. Every time I asked the doctor what he needed, they tell me the same things over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's disheartening a little bit on one hand, but I feel privileged that I'm able to help in some way.
Yeah.
And I'm not shy about walking into a medical clinic anywhere in Guatemala, public health clinics. I just walk into them. The people are looking at me like, who is this guy? They can tell I'm not from there
Right.
as soon as I open my mouth, especially. And I just tell them, look, I'm here. I just want to help. What can I do?
I just want to give you the equipment you need.
Yeah, and so, for instance, tomorrow I'll be heading down to Guatemala, and my checked bag suitcase will be filled with medical supplies and equipment.
Sure.
And it seems so small, especially when we have the ability through World Medical Relief to send 40-foot containers, and we want to.
Right.
And in fact, I met with the incoming vice president of Guatemala about a month ago, and his desire is to have me meet with the incoming cabinet member that's responsible for public health.
Wow.
So I'm hoping on this trip that I'm able to do that.
That's amazing.
They just took the control of the government on the 16th of January, so it's early in their tenure, and they only have in Guatemala they only have a 4-year tenure, and then they're out. They're term limited out.
All right.
So, my desire is to help more people. I've expressed that desire to the incoming vice president and explain to him, look, I'm just here to help. I want to help.
Yeah.
Help me help, And so we'll see. He feels that, a partnership will work. And so I've heard that before, though, and sometimes these things are difficult. So.
Yeah. Reverend, that's amazing. I mean, you're making a difference at an individual life level, at a micro level, and then, at a community level, at a macro level, and even a country level. That's just phenomenal. Let me ask you a question. I think what you're doing is amazing. Let's say somebody listens to this interview and they say, I want to do that too. Right? What do you say to somebody who wants to change their life and start to make a difference on the scale you are?
Well, I say the first thing is to take some baby steps. I don't recommend to people to quit their job or leave the United States and go to some other part of the world. I think that the first steps are to take a short trip, go visit a country, get to know some local people. One of the problems with this type of work is that in the past, a common practice was well-meaning Americans, well-meaning Europeans would go to some country that's needy and push some sort of services or equipment or supplies or construction on people. And I've learned through reading some different texts, in particular, When Helping Hurts is the title of one book that I love.
Yeah.
And another one is Toxic Charity.
Okay.
And Toxic Charity has a follow-up to it called Charity Detox. These authors describe the problematic way people have done things in the past and then recommend some ways to help now.
Yeah.
And so my first encouragement would be to go and visit these countries that you're interested in helping and get to know some local people. So how I got to know some local people is I actually with them.
Okay.
The very first time I went to Guatemala, I went and drilled a well with a partner that was set up by an American group. But then I went and spent a week with a local pastor. So I lived in his home for a week. And actually for 4 or 5 years, we never did a single project together. I would go and stay with him. I would go and drill a well, and then I would go and stay with my friend for a week. And finally, after 5 years, we started doing some projects together.
Right on.
It was not really by design. Like when I first met him, I wasn't thinking, I'm going to wait 5 years. It was just the way my life kind of played out at that time as well. Mm-hmm. So, I guess I wouldn't say that you have to take 5 years to do that, but I'm just saying that you should take baby steps. I mean, I've heard, horror stories of people selling everything they own, moving to someplace in the world, and then they crash and burn, and their marriage suffers, and all those things. And I don't recommend that.
No,
I recommend taking it slow, let it build slowly, and that's kind of the process that we're in right now.
What if somebody just wanted to help you? So that they wanted to help Integrity International, they wanted to help World Medical Relief. How could they plug in to help you?
Well, there's a variety of ways. Integrity International takes teams of people to Guatemala right now, perhaps in the future other places, to drill wells and to do other kinds of projects. And so we take small teams, 6 to 10 people usually, and we go and we drill a well. And that's a fantastic experience for American because probably like you, I've never had to drink dirty water. I've never had to wonder if this water that I'm going to drink today is going to make me sick or not. I've always had purified water to drink coming out of a tap in my kitchen my entire life. I was born in 1955. Never have I had to drink water that I knew was dirty.
Right.
And many people all over Central America and all around the world are drinking water that, they have a question mark in their head every time they put the glass or the bottle to their mouth. Am I going to get sick from this today?
Sure.
And so coming with us to drill a well, that's an amazing project. And I've actually offered to some companies, wow, what an amazing project it would be if your company put together 6 people and travel with me and go and drill a well and sponsor the well perhaps. Yeah. And a well costs about $5,000 to drill, and then there's ground fees and airfare. But $5,000 isn't really that much money for many American companies and even individuals. So I've had in the last year, I had, I think, 2 families that sponsored a well themselves. And this year I have already, I think, 2 as well. So it's only January, and I already have 2 families that sponsored a well. Just the families that, look, we think we can do this. So they sponsored it. So there's different ways. So coming is important. World Medical Relief is in Southfield, Michigan. They always need people to come and just help sort things, and people can be taught that skill. It's not that difficult. Yeah. And even some, young teenagers have been there with me at different times and helped in sorting and just cleaning up and picking up. World Medical Relief receives an incredible amount of medical supplies and equipment every month. Yeah. And it has to be sorted, and it has to be categorized so that it can be properly packaged and shipped to other countries. And so it's a relatively easy one, and they're there every day in the week, and then also on Saturday they work half a day. So they try to make it convenient for people to come and volunteer.
Sure.
And so I would always encourage anyone, if you can stand on your feet, and even if you have to sit down, you can do some sorting there for World Medical.